You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt. The law of courage. Fear stops you, guts move you. Face it, and it fades. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. Fear is a universal experience, a shadow that trails every ambition, every dream, every step toward a life of meaning. It whispers doubt, conjures obstacles, and paints failure in vivid colors. But courage, the law that governs progress, demands that you face fear head-on. It is not a feeling, it is a choice. When you choose to move forward, fear loses its grip, and the path to your potential opens. Consider the data scientist, buried in complex algorithms and endless datasets. The pressure to deliver insights that shape a company's future can be paralyzing. What if the model fails? What if the conclusions are wrong? Fear of error can freeze them in place, but courage pushes them to test, refine, and present their work, even when uncertainty looms. Each step taken shrinks the fear, proving that action is the antidote to doubt. Think of the renewable energy engineer, tasked with designing a system to power a community sustainably. The stakes are high: budget constraints, technical challenges, and the weight of environmental impact. Fear of failure could keep them tethered to safe, outdated solutions. But courage drives them to innovate, to experiment with new designs, to risk mistakes for the sake of progress. They face the fear, and it fades as solutions take shape. The law of courage applies to every endeavor. It is not reserved for the bold or the reckless, it is for anyone who chooses to act. Take the urban planner, shaping the future of a city. The complexity of balancing infrastructure, community needs, and sustainability can feel overwhelming. Fear of criticism or missteps could stall their vision. Yet, by taking one decision at a time, consulting stakeholders, revising plans, presenting ideas, they dismantle fear through action. Each move forward builds confidence, proving that courage compounds. Fear thrives in hesitation. When you pause, it grows. When you act, it shrinks. This is the essence of the law of courage. It does not require you to feel ready or certain. It asks only that you move. The cybersecurity analyst, guarding a company against unseen threats, faces fear daily. A single oversight could lead to a breach. Instead of freezing, they analyze, test, and adapt, knowing that courage is not perfection but persistence. Their work strengthens not because they are fearless, but because they act despite fear. Discipline is courage's ally. The law of courage is not about reckless leaps but consistent steps. The telemedicine nurse, connecting with patients remotely, faces the fear of misjudging a symptom or failing to connect through a screen. Courage means preparing thoroughly, listening intently, and making decisions under pressure. It is the discipline to show up, to study, to engage, that transforms fear into competence. Small, deliberate actions build the foundation for big results. The digital marketing strategist, crafting campaigns in a crowded online space, knows the fear of failure. A campaign could flop, wasting time and resources. Courage means launching anyway, analyzing results, and adjusting the approach. It is not about avoiding mistakes but learning from them. Each campaign refines their skill, each risk taken weakens fear's hold. The law of courage teaches that progress is not linear, it is built on the willingness to try. You must train yourself to recognize fear not as a barrier but as a signal. It points to what matters. The environmental policy advocate, pushing for change in a resistant system, feels fear of rejection, of being ignored, of failing to make a difference. That fear signals the importance of their work. Courage is choosing to speak, to lobby, to persist, even when the outcome is uncertain. Each effort chips away at fear, revealing the power of action. The law of courage demands you take responsibility for your own path. No one else can face your fears for you. The augmented reality designer, creating immersive experiences, faces the fear of technical glitches or user rejection. They could play it safe, sticking to familiar tools. But courage pushes them to experiment, to code, to test, to fail, and to try again. Their growth comes not from avoiding fear but from meeting it with action. Time is the currency of courage. Every moment you spend hesitating is a moment fear gains ground. The supply chain analyst, navigating global disruptions, knows this. Delays, miscalculations, or unforeseen crises could derail their work. Courage is deciding to act now, adjusting logistics, forecasting risks, communicating solutions. Each decision, however small, is a victory over fear, a step toward mastery. The law of courage is universal, but its application is personal. The blockchain developer, building decentralized systems, faces fear of complexity or obsolescence in a fast-moving field. Courage means studying, coding, and contributing, even when the technology feels daunting. The virtual reality therapist, helping clients through immersive therapy, faces fear of skepticism or technical failure. Courage means preparing, testing, and delivering, trusting that action will refine their craft. You are not defined by your fears but by your response to them. The law of courage teaches that fear is not your enemy, inaction is. The fintech innovator, creating new ways to manage wealth, fears disrupting established systems. Courage is launching the product, seeking feedback, and iterating. The climate researcher, modeling future scenarios, fears their work may not sway policy. Courage is publishing, advocating, and persisting. Every step forward rewrites your relationship with fear. The law of courage is not about eliminating it but reducing its power. The e-commerce logistics coordinator, streamlining deliveries in a chaotic market, faces fear of failure daily. Courage is optimizing one route, solving one bottleneck, taking one calculated risk at a time. Each action builds momentum, proving that fear fades when you move. The law of courage is a lifelong practice. It is not a single moment of heroism but a series of choices. The health tech entrepreneur, developing wearable devices, faces fear of market rejection or technical flaws. Courage is prototyping, testing, and pitching, even when doubt lingers. The education technology specialist, designing tools for remote learning, fears their platform may not engage students. Courage is iterating, listening to feedback, and improving. You must commit to action daily. The law of courage rewards those who show up. The artificial intelligence ethicist, navigating uncharted moral territory, faces fear of criticism or missteps. Courage is researching, writing, and speaking, even when the path is unclear. The sustainable fashion consultant, pushing for ethical practices, fears resistance from an entrenched industry. Courage is advising, advocating, and persisting. Fear stops you. Guts move you. The law of courage is simple but not easy. It requires you to face fear, not once but repeatedly. Each time you do, it fades a little more. The quantum computing researcher, tackling problems beyond current understanding, fears failure in a field of unknowns. Courage is studying, experimenting, and sharing findings. The urban agriculture specialist, building food systems in concrete jungles, fears their projects may not scale. Courage is planting, testing, and teaching others. Your life is shaped by the moments you choose courage over comfort. The law of courage is not about grand gestures but small, consistent acts. The cybersecurity policy analyst, shaping regulations for a digital world, fears their work may lag behind technology. Courage is drafting, debating, and refining. The virtual event planner, orchestrating global conferences online, fears technical failures or disengaged audiences. Courage is planning, testing, and executing. The law of courage is your map to a meaningful life. Fear will always be there, but it does not have to rule you. Face it, and it fades. Act, and you grow. The data visualization artist, turning raw numbers into stories, fears their work may not resonate. Courage is designing, sharing, and refining. The telehealth coordinator, connecting doctors and patients across distances, fears miscommunication or system failures. Courage is organizing, training, and improving. You have everything you need to start. The law of courage does not demand perfection, only progress. Take the first step, then the next. Fear will shrink with every move. The renewable energy consultant, advising on green transitions, fears their recommendations may fall short. Courage is researching, proposing, and adapting. The machine learning trainer, teaching algorithms to think, fears errors in their models. Courage is coding, testing, and learning. Face fear today. Act now. The law of courage is your guide. Move forward, and watch fear fade as your potential unfolds.